Matt, Dannon, Jers. We're back. The last time we spoke, not only were we in separate rooms, we were in the same room right now for the podcast. And let me say ahead of time, there might be some Wi-Fi issues. There might be some technical difficulties, which may require editing of the pod, something we don't like to do. So if at some point at the future of this pod, within the hour of listening to this pod, if there's some weird audio, it's probably because we had to do some work after the fact behind the scenes. But we come to you in a world where Tommy Deets is now a winner on the PGA Tour, and not just by a little bit, by a lot, Jers. And at a course where we talked about the most important thing being dog. Let's not beat around the bush. Let's not get to Vic Lap season yet because there are plenty of things to Vic Lap. But let's just get right into it. What is the state of the union on PGA Tour winner Thomas Detry?
Yeah, I mean we're true blue collar podcasters. This might be a little bit of a workaround, but we'll get through it. Thomas Detry has won, so nothing else matters in the world. We did say you need dog to win at Waste Management. I think that's a very popular take, and I don't think anyone would argue with us on that. But Thomas Detry, a generational and well-known low dog player, got it done nearly wire to wire and looked unflappable on the back nine on Sunday, on Saturday, on Friday. When he gets the iron player going, when he gets the confidence going, which you've never seen before, we see what can happen. Won by a touchdown on Super Bowl Sunday. Shout out Thomas Detry. I mean, what is the State of the Union? Potential floodgates, truthfully, from Thomas Detry. Floodgates.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly, I think mere weeks ago have said that I don't think Tommy Detry wins on the PGA Tour. Not just did he win, Jersey, he won in emphatic style. Generational driving performance, generational iron play performance, generational putting performance and scrambling. He won by so many strokes. He blitzed the field this week, Jers. And we're going to talk all about it because I'd have a hard time thinking of a pod that we're more excited to do than when we're in the same room doing the pod, which hasn't happened since Troon. Was that the last time we dialed up the pod together?
Troon, yeah.
And now we are in a world where Thomas Detry is a PGA Tour winner. So we're going to get...
Speaking of Troon, remember Thomas Detry on the merch tent? Blackballed.
Yeah.
Thomas Detry was on the merch tent at Troon, and he wasn't even in the field. Wasn't allowed in the field.
Do you think that it was that
motivation?
moment?
That might have been it.
That's what I was going to ask. Do you think, because people forget, Thomas played obviously good last year. That's not what people forget. Detry played good in a variety of events. People forget he was not allowed to play in the Open Championship. Thomas Detry, who will now be a star of the European Ryder Cup team and a core member of the Viking Cup, was not even in the Open Championship. But that's bad enough. And people were upset. They were saying, where's Thomas Detry? Why is he not in this event? But then to use him as the face of the merch tent when you walk through the door in Troon, massive poster. How much merch do you think they sold because of Thomas Detry?
Oh my God, a ton. And it makes a ton of sense. You look at Thomas Detry. He's a great looking man. The face of the merch tent for a reason. Who else would they use?
And then he doesn't get in the event. That had to be the most.
I think we Adam and I have been talking all day about just golf and stuff. This has not came up until right now. We cracked it.
We cracked the code. The merch getting denied from the Open, kept out of the merch tent. Thomas Detry said, next year is going to be different. People are not going to talk about.
We've been talking all day about what Thomas Detry did to figure it out, and we've just cracked the code live on the pod.
Yeah, because we've been together since Friday evening. Obviously, Jers was down there. Boots, Phoenix, unbelievable boots. I would say top 3 to 5, purely from like the results of the boots and some of the long shot guys that you just sniped with. They were just striping, and you're like, get him on the card, get him in your DFS lineups.
Yeah, it was a good week.
That was great. Bobby Mack, 60-1. We started our card with Bobby Mack at 60-1. Strong performance.
That was the best golfer in terms of odds. Scottie to down. Bobby Mack was who we started our card with was the shortest golfer.
But then you stopped here, obviously, and then you're on your way down to Torrey for Boots San Diego. But yeah, we've been analyzing. We've had more time to talk golf, to watch golf, to just drink it in than we have had this weekend. And for that weekend to correspond with Thomas Detry winning the Waste Management Phoenix Open by 7 shots, random Euro of the week. A player that we've talked about on so many times. We were rooting.
Big time. Everyone knows he's had the talent his whole entire career, and he's done it. We'll go back to our Sunday pod. I said it. Thomas Detry, 54-hole leader, 80-1 as a joke, because Thomas Detry was always a great course fit, always is a 54-hole leader who collapses. I said, bet 54-hole leader, Thomas Detry, 80-1. And I know some of you guys who are listening did bet that. I wasn't really serious. I was like, yeah, just bet Thomas Detry.
Serious, but not that serious. That's the Vince
motto. Yeah. And it happened. He was the round 3 leader. Even with the lead, I probably thought he was going to gag it. But shout out Tommy Deets. I'm happy for him. We've been a Tommy Deets fan forever. So I'm happy that he got it done. And who knows? Floodgates, maybe.
Were you surprised that Tommy Deets was the first Belgian winner on the PGA Tour before? I mean, if we now obviously going into like the last, I guess, year, obviously Detry is probably most likely, but still an extremely unlikely level. Go back a few years, Tommy Peets not being the first winner on the PGA Tour, instead it's Tommy Deets. He has elevated his game to top Belgian.
Yeah, I mean now there's I would have thought it could have been ADDC get that quick win in a
imagine going back when ADDC was on Generational Corn Ferry Performance, and then who do we think the first Belgian to win on tour is? You know, we both would have said ADDC.
Yeah, because Tommy Deets has the skill, but like we know he didn't. Yeah, what'd you say?
Cool new toy. That's your
exactly. Shiny new toy. ADDC. Bet him. So, and he kind of has lost his game, but he's kind of figuring it out now. But that's a different podcast. But back a year ago, I probably would have said ADDC wins before Thomas Detry, only because we've seen time and time again Thomas Detry cannot handle it under the gun. And I'm going to say right now, he was under the gun all week.
Hard. He was under the gun. And we usually never start the pod by just diving in on the winner.
This is the first
time we've ever done this. Maybe like a major championship, the next pod will like go straight to the top. But we owe it to Tommy Deets.
We owe it.
I mean, I feel like I personally owe it to him with the amount of times I said that he has no dog, that he would not win on the PGA Tour. And he scrambling merchant. There were so many times
on the front nine,
kind of the whole day, where if he had missed a short putt 5 to 10 feet,
unraveled,
he had so many 5 to 10 footers. One of those drives ends up behind a tree instead of just enough to the side where he can take a whack at it. He just kept moving forward. He only had that one bogey. I thought he would have tons of bogeys. I thought it would be a volatile day for Tommy Detry, but he just scrambled.
Yeah, and if you were watching the broadcast, you've probably realized it if you're a ball knower. Can we talk about his iron numbers? That's
the most shocking thing about the whole thing.
Striping irons, like, unless the broadcast was wrong with putting up the numbers of like what iron he was hitting, he was hitting irons generationally far. I think into, what'd you say he had into 15? A 7-iron?
The ball came down from the moon. Like, that was the difference. On the long holes, and
Tommy Detry is not like a short hitter, but he's not like a bomber where he's hitting Bryson level clubs that are just misangled. I think he hits normal ass clubs. He was hitting jokes of clubs into holes. The one time when he was behind a tree, he had to hit a half swing like under the tree. I think it was 179. He hit a 9-iron. He flirted a little right, but it was pin high. Like, that's unreal from Tommy Deets.
Jers, Thomas Detry gained 7.2 on approach.
Best in his PGA Tour career by far.
7.2 on approach. He has lost approach in so many events. The most he gained 4.4 at Pine, which, shout out Pine, that's impressive. But he spiked for 5 strokes at Memorial in 2023.
TPCs.
That might be like, it's because he drives it, and when he's striping, he hits his irons kind of like Bryson hits his irons, where it's just like he's hitting way shorter club than everybody and hitting it to the moon, and it's coming down so soft. I think like the par 5 13 was an example. Bobby Mack had to hit a low one because he was further back. It doesn't hold the green.
Hit a hybrid.
Tommy Deets drops it down from the sky. And that to me was if Tommy Deets had won a tournament just like insane driver putter, I would have been shocked because I literally never thought Tommy Deets would win. But that would have made at least a little bit sense to me. If you would have told me that Tommy Deets had a generational iron play performance, that would have been the part that I still wouldn't have believed even after you told me he won.
Yeah, I mean, his whole career, he's been a driver putter guy and has played his better golf, not win, his better golf on courses where you need to drive it well and you get hot with the putter. So, which you have to do at TPC Scotts, but you pair it with a 7-stroke approach, that's not going to hurt you at all. So, shout out Tommy Deets. That's why he won by 7. It was just unflappable on Sunday. And I mean, we'll hand up. We'll admit when we're wrong. We did not think Tommy Deets had the gumption or dog to win at TPC Scottsdale. We talked about on Sunday. The last 7 of 8 winners, major champions, big dick players. So they're facts. They're facts, and it's not crazy that we thought that you have to be a big dick player to win at TPC Scottsdale. The environment is unlike any other. So
I get that. That's ultimately
he's got the talent,
right? And I think that's ultimately the most important thing for the sake of this conversation. Is we're always trying to think ahead of what's next, and I'm a firm believer in strong opinions loosely held. When you get new information, something to change your perspective, I'll always take it in. I'll consider it strongly. And what's come to mind because of all of those things, because he was so impressive and he finally, that talent's always been there. And now it's come through. And he reminds me, I'm not saying he's going to win a major. I don't think he wins a major. But if he did, the trajectory reminds me so much of like Wyndham Clark, driver putter player his whole career, never good with his irons. And then he started to heat up with his irons in that skill set of absolute nukes off the tee. And then the ability to hit it high and far with your irons. That's how you win on firm, difficult golf courses. And I think, honestly, the craziest thing was, I didn't even notice this about, I noticed it from seeing him in the events, but I just hadn't processed the fact that over the last 3 majors, Tommy Deets has been T13, T4, T14. So what is, I want to hear from you first. I'm giving you the lay of the land of everything that I was just considering about Tommy Deets since he won. What's next for Tommy Deets?
I think one of those majors, I actually bet him as a mega long shot, like 300 to 1 in one of those majors. But because we've known he's had the talent to play anywhere. Do I think he wins a major? No. Do I think he gets out there and is on the CBS leaderboard, T7, and Jim Nantz is talking about him? That win at Waste Management? Yeah, I do think that happens possibly this year in the near future. So the talent is just off the charts for Detry, and he's proven in the last year to feel more comfortable in his own skin, feel more comfortable with his golf game. And if he can find that approach game, off to the races.
His last 4 majors, he's spiked on putting in 3 of 4, and he's gained on approach in all 4. And then obviously there was that last performance I said was at Pine. So something to monitor. Thrilling stuff. As just at the end of the day, a fan of the DP World Tour, a fan of Tommy Deets, whether I thought he would win or not. It was nice to watch. And we'll talk a little bit more about what we saw at the Waste. But we're 15 minutes in, and we've yet to do like and subscribe. Because we're so jazzed about what took place today out on the links with Tommy Deets and having the opportunity.
The American links.
Yeah, on the American links to be able to talk about Tommy Deets as a PGA Tour winner. But like and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube, whatever podcast network you may listen to the pod on. If you enjoy, we appreciate a 5-star review when we earn it. Boots Phoenix. What was your overall takeaway on Boots Phoenix? And headed now to Boots Torrey. Talk a little bit more about that in a second. But how are you feeling post Phoenix Boots? How are the feet? And what should people be on the lookout for as you head down to Torrey and Jersey? I just also want to make it clear they've played this course before.
Have they? Do they have strokes gained?
They do. They also have strokes gained
at the South Course. Okay.
So just keep that in mind when you're there. But how are you feeling about it in general?
Yeah. So Boots Phoenix was a great experience. I had thought I forgot my shoes in Florida, so I wore Vans for both days of Boots. My back didn't feel great after that. I'll be honest. Turns out I had my shoes the whole time. I just misplaced them in my bag. So we got that dialed heading into Torrey Pines. But to wrap up Phoenix, you probably couldn't pay me to go to a tournament round. off the. It's a Miami club on a golf course, and that probably sounds awesome to you, and it probably sounds awesome to me too. But if I got to be with my boys with the team, I was solo. I wasn't gonna go there for a practice round, so you couldn't pay me to go solo. To Torrey Pines, I'm excited to fly to San Diego, and heading here, I was like in the headspace, like, yeah, I'm gonna hang out with Adam for a few days and just drive down to San Diego. It'll be a quick drive. It'll be 8 hours. So I'm not going to drive down. I'm going to fly down because I wasn't thinking that at first. But I'm excited to get to this long and straight golf course where they have strokes gained at. But there's a lot more than just the data. There's a lot more that goes into Boots. And as you podcast ball knowers know, I'm going to see a lot of cool stuff. Tigers in the field. See who's striping. See who's looks good on the POA. What did I say about Tommy Deets on the?
I believe the only Boots report on Tommy Deets this week was, wow, Tommy Deets can roll the ball. It's either roll the ball or roll the rock.
Straightforward.
He most certainly did. They even talked about it on the broadcast. They was trying to high point the spots on the line. So, yeah, I'm excited for Boots Torrey for sure. I feel like your confidence in what you saw from Bobby Mack got me onto Bobby Mack and gave me a sweat for the tournament. At the end of the day, that's all I can ask for on the PGA Tour. And then elsewhere on the site, we cover all tours here, Jers, the LPGA, LIV Golf Riyadh, the DP World Tour, the Cuddy Masters. And I think we've said this before, there's a lot of fun, cool things that have happened at it doing Vince Eric's, and we always appreciate everybody who's involved. But every now and then something happens, and I'm like, damn, that was sweet. Vince the AI,
I know him.
Having a generational card at the Cuddy Masters. It was. I'm not a parent. I will be at some point in the future, but it felt like what it must feel like to have like a son or a child have like a great moment. Because to see Vince have first, second, and fourth on a 4-person card at the Cuddy Masters on the DP World Tour, our pride and joy, it was awesome to see.
Yeah, the most volatile tour in the world. If you're a DP World Tour fan, or if you know anything about DP World Tour betting, it's tough to predict. And so, for example, Vincent, our AI robot, made a card 9.7x for the AI cops out there. I mean, for the ROI cops out there, 9.7x return on investment. 4 guys, 3 of them inside the top 4, including the winner, 50-1. Hao Tong Lee to make it even better. Like, just a great guy.
That is the power too of the AI, because it was like 50-1 Hao Tong, when you know Hao Tong's been like 800-1 like just 3 months ago. Psychologically, it's too much to overcome. But Vincent just saw the numbers and he was like, Hao Tong striping, and this course rewards striping, so give me Hao Tong at 51. And somehow, this was the craziest part. I didn't like give this information to Vincent. He just knew that Hao Tong was a desert golf specialist.
He did say that in the write-up. He did say that. We are the only ones that have an AI betting robot. So head over to the site. He's got picks for all the tours. He's getting sharper by the day.
And you mentioned all the tours, Jers. LIV Riyadh. Season opening win under the lights. You were one of 12,000 people in the whole world. There's the 2 of the 12,000 people who watched LIV, because we love LIV, but we will call it out for the many unserious things about it. But we love it because it's the best betting tour.
It is.
It is the most profitable tour for betting. And Morocco right out of the gates. Strike show.
I think we've hit 5 out of the last 13 LIV events collectively together. Morocco 80-1. No sweat, then it was a sweat.
Serious sweat. It felt, because I was with you when you sweat Soderbergh.
Oh my god, it felt like Soderbergh.
I was feeling Soderbergh vibes, and I was rooting for Morocco. Vincent also had a hat in the mix, so he at least had like a potential fallback, but I was rooting so hard for Morocco. But as I said, I never was worried, because Munoz I was never worried when Munoz was around, because so many times Munoz, he's a second place player.
Yeah, Munoz is definitely a second place player. He's a generational aim at flag and hit it to 3 feet, and he did that so many times. But on the back 9 at LIV Riyadh, Munoz tied the lead, and then he jacked from 20 feet, missed a 3-footer, and at that time Hatton had missed a 4-footer. Rahman missed a 5-footer. So everything that had to go right for Meronk went right for Meronk, and he ended up winning by 2, I believe. But he was just when Meronk gets going, he like Munoz aims at flags and does not stop aiming at flags. Actually, he does that no matter what, and it's either if he's dialed he wins, or if he's not, he just only makes a few birdies and he just short sides himself and makes bogeys. So, but when he's on a basic golf course like LIV Riyadh, extremely unserious golf course, otherworldly unserious golf course. But when you get Meronk on a design like that, it's just clockwork for him, and it was no surprise that he got to like 17 or 18 under in 54 holes. It was easy for Meronk.
And no DP this week, which is extraordinarily disappointing. But the reason it's disappointing is because I thought this week was the Magical Kenya Open. Next week's the Magical Kenya
We'll
Open.
mention it 2 straight pods because that's how it deserves.
Yeah, it's deserving of 2. But like when I realized the next event was Kenya and I thought it was this week, I was so excited. But it'll be next week. But LIV Adelaide down there, early season trip to Australia, and then Boots Torrey. So an exciting week ahead, an exciting week behind us. Let's talk a little bit more waste, because we always need to go down the board, and we go down the board because we need to understand what takeaways we can get from who else was in the tournament, especially because some of them are headed on their way to Torrey Pines this week. Jers, Michael Kim from San Diego. What was your
Torrey Pines High School?
Michael Kim was striping, absolutely striping. Also, the only guy I thought was going to beat Detry, basically with like 5 to 6 holes left to go, was
the Sandbagger.
Was Berger? Yeah, well, give the Berger story, because this I think is extraordinarily interesting, purely from who else has this story about Berger from the week. Only you. So
only me. Yeah.
What happened?
The subs know what happened, but so if you're not a sub, I landed in Phoenix on Monday afternoon. I was on the same flight with Daniel Berger. Shout out South Florida. So I get off the plane, I go up to Daniel Berger, introduce myself. Then we start talking for a little bit. I showed him that he was second in my model, and he like thought it was cool. He had recognized me from the golf course, asked me what I did, and we got into a little conversation, asked him how he was feeling, and I immediately got the vibe and from what he was saying that he didn't seem too confident in his game. So I told the subs, I told everyone, yeah, Daniel Berger does not seem confident out on book. Then I get out to the golf course on Tuesday and Wednesday, and I see Berger striping. I see Berger looking extremely confident. I see Berger in the zone. I'm like, Daniel Berger looks amazing this week. Potential sandbag situation.
He's sandbagged, which is sick, because that's the type of thing. It's like certain guys probably have different mentalities. You know, you run into one guy at the airport, maybe he's positive vibes only. But Berger probably knew what was the best way to get in the mentality to have a good week. He needed to keep it low key, and then he got to the course, gave it strokes gained preparation.
And we know from doing Boots for a decent amount of times how certain guys talk, how certain guys interact. Now we know on Berger, take X with a grain of salt, and that's a learning experience for me, for Adam. Like we've seen guys struggle in the past, and we know when they struggle, they look horrible. We've seen guys struggle and look good, so we know. We're building a database, and we're going to teach Vincent who's doing what at each of these Boots events. So, Berger, if you're listening to this, I don't appreciate you sandbagging me, but great playing this week, and happy you're in Torrey next week. So I'll give you a shout on Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, do you consider yourself boys with him now?
I mean, it's Jupe life, so yeah.
Because Berger, the juxtaposition of Berger against Detry was great, because Berger brings only like the energy of that he thinks he's going to win.
Only that. Yep.
He probably talks as much shit as anyone on the entire tour.
Yep.
Maybe number one of anyone.
And he's always standing in the back of the camera with his hands on his hips. I think he does it on purpose. And it's not just this week. It's been his entire career. Like he's the guy in the background of the painting that's like standing off in the distance with his hands on his hips, just looking. And he was doing it this week. He wants to be the villain. He plays it very well. So it's a good vibe to have.
And so that vibe, Berger, versus happy-go-lucky Tommy Detry, who has blown it every time he's ever played in any situation in his entire career. Berger, even in his post-round interview in round 3, like he didn't directly call out Detry, but he basically was like he declared himself very confident and that it was going to be hard for Detry because he's never won before. That made Detry's win even better because Berger left it in the bunk. He was starting to charge because Detry 3-putted and he was leaking oil just a tiny bit, and then Berger missed the green from the middle of the fairway on 14 and left in the bunk, but then he made a sick chip in. It looked like Berger had the bit between his teeth, was going to make the comeback, but ultimately Tommy Deets holds him up. I think that adds to me the even though Scottie fell back, even though Bobby Mack didn't like finish strong, even though Spieth was there, but Spieth fresh off of having not contended in so long, you couldn't really have expected him to close it out. It was holding off Berger.
Yeah,
it was really stiff arming him away that impressed me the most about Tommy.
Yeah, and Berger had a decent fall. Finally started striping. Got him on a nice surface that he likes to putt. A golf course that he's played well on before. So good to see Berger getting back in the mix. Oh, I always root for him. Happy to see him playing. Then to wrap up the runner-ups, drop your favorite Michael Kim tweet in the comments because I'm sure he has some at this point when the pods release. So
I'm excited to read them.
Yeah,
like Michael Kim. Sometimes I'm in, sometimes I'm out on the tweets. I was most out when he questioned Cam Smith up and down at St. Andrews. That really set me back for a long time with him. He's earned his way back into where like I kind of like some of his tweets. I'm excited to see what he has to say because he was striping and he tweets all the time about like really, at least you know what's going on. He's really open about what he's working on in his game. And I've said this many times. It's great to see because golf is such a hard sport and these guys have to grind so hard and it's so like mentally taxing of a game that when you see a guy have success knowing some of the background of like the grind that went into it, makes it extra cool. So shout out Michael Kim.
Yeah, I mean he played great. He striped hard. So Michael Kim, shout out Torrey Pines High School.
Spieth, is he back? What is he not back? What's going on with Spieth?
It's crazy because I saw Spieth this week and he verbally admitted that he's going to be a little bit. And I think we saw that little bit. I saw him really striping fairways. He looked really good off the tee and he had his moments off the tee this week, but he also had his Jordan moments. Like that par he made on 11 was a joke of a Jordan Spieth par.
Unbelievable.
But it's good to see. Jordan Spieth was second on approach, which I probably didn't see coming, and putt well, but he still has those missed 5-footers. He's not a golfer that you really can predict, but he's going to be popular in the near future. Bay Hill is maybe the next time I could see him maybe mixing. But Spieth, I used to try to be on him more, like a lot, but I just don't think I can go at these 30s and 40s. I wait till he drifts a little bit. If we can get like a 40 at Bay Hill, maybe, but I'm going to be out for the near future.
BK had a great tweet, as he always does, about JT and saying that this will be a top 4 finish that will look back on JT to justify like betting him at 10-1 in a couple of years.
Oh my God, he finished T4?
Because he holed out on 18. He's holed out on 18 for Eagle the last 2 weeks. He made it out of the bunk at Pebble. Or at least I was watching it muted, but they showed that highlight, and I think I remember that happening. It was either Saturday or Sunday, but I think it was Sunday.
Yes, you're right. He did finish T6. And shout out Keith, our other guy. He tweeted earlier in the week that he was betting a JT top 10 in regards of a back door. He called the back door, and it happened literally on a holdout. So if you can predict that, it's impressive stuff. So yeah, but Justin Thomas, we're gonna talk about Justin Thomas. It's just unserious stuff because you see the stat line: 11th off the tee, 6th on approach, generational striping from JT, and he gained 2.2 strokes putting. Did not have a chance. Look at JT's stat line. You would bet that at this event, probably 10 times out of 10, 3 on approach, 5 on approach, 3 off the tee, 2 putting.
Yeah.
Never had a chance.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly,
it's unserious stuff.
It honestly doesn't make sense, actually. Like how it honestly doesn't make sense. Bobby,
but also what Thomas Detry did this week gave no one had a chance.
No one had a chance. For a second there, we thought Bobby Mack had a chance.
Yeah, he made a charge. If he would have made those par 5 putts.
Really fun to both have a guy in the mix together while you were here, and for it to be 60-1 Bobby Mack, we were trying to decide if it was a National Open or People's Open. It's always fun. It's not every time that like a guy we talk about on the pod or on the Boots Report pod ends up playing well in the tournament. Sometimes it's a guy that's up on the site, but it's fun to share it across the board. So it was great to have Bobby Mack in the mix. Driver putter machine, could not hit his irons to save his life, but I saw the gumption from Bob Mack. He made a couple mistakes down the stretch, but he had the look of a man who was playing to win. He was playing to win.
Yeah.
And as long as you do that, I will appreciate the effort, and I will tip my cap.
We talked about in the elevator that if you have the will and desire that you want to win, you'll be on outright cards going forward. And not everyone has that. Like Seabez, for example, a beautiful T4 finish. I bet him 200-1 this week. He did not give. He knew he was never winning.
Here's a question. This is an important question for the future because I think all of these guys are going to be in the event. Who of the guys who was never going to win on the PGA Tour, because Tommy Detry was never going to win on the PGA Tour, but now he's won on the PGA Tour, who from his fellow list of guys is going to win next on the PGA Tour? Or who, and then also who is least going to win next on the tour?
Okay.
Who's going to continue to be least likely to win?
Okay.
Bez, Denny, Tommy Fleetwood. Most likely to win of the guys who never was going to win again, and least likely to win of the guys who was never going to win again.
Most likely to win of the guys that will never win, Denny. Least likely to win of the guys that will never win, Bez.
I'll go. I still like Tommy will win one.
Really?
Tommy will win one. He will. I still, maybe I'm biased.
This is Tommy Fleetwood, by the way.
The other Tommy, he's good. Maybe this is biased because of how close I came with Tommy at the RBC Canadian Open. Because not many people have had a true Tommy sweat. And I sweated Tommy at the RBC Canadian Open. So maybe I'm a little biased, but I think he does it. I agree, Bez.
Like T4, like he played good today.
What's the closest Bez has come to actually winning? Amex?
Yeah, the Amex. I mean, that's a win because Dunlop didn't get paid. So that's a win. Bez has one win. Dunlop did not get paid at the Amex. Bez has one win.
That counts. All right. But yeah, we need to talk about. Oh, we forgot a couple of guys and the guys who will never win. Cam Young.
Oh, this is the first time we've talked about Cam Young in 2025.
That's what
because he was on the broadcast today for no reason.
We pledged to not talk about CY on the pod for the whole year, but we'll do 30 seconds because Tommy Detry won, and we'll owe it to all the guys who will never win to have a moment. So if you added him to the pod of guys we just talked about, where would he fall?
You know my take on Cameron Young. Like I'm like used to, Cam Young started with a double. He had a double today, and he still played so well. He lost 2 strokes on approach. He's so unserious. Gained 7.3 strokes putting, and this is like a generational putting performance from Cam Young. No, like I'm used to be a Cam Young defender, truther, and I had a big coming to heart, like the new year
before the Hero World Challenge. Before the Hero World Challenge, you took a stand, and then he was first round leader at the Hero World Challenge.
No, well, it derived from Castle Pines. I said if he doesn't play hole 1 at Castle Pines at 4 under, the easiest par 5 of all time, that suited a drawer 4 under, he was blacklisted for 2025. I think he played it even. Like this hole was it couldn't be a more Cam Young hole, but he's a par 5 anomaly, so he never birdies them. And this take derived from Castle Pines. So therefore, in 2025, Cam Young is just off the pod, off of the betting card. So if he wins, like I'm not mad.
Are you surprised? I've never laughed this hard on the pod. Are you surprised that Tommy Deets won before him?
That's a great question. Like 2 generational talents. But also, like, I mean,
I'm surprised. I'm saying I never.
Tommy Deets cares way more than Cam Young cares.
I agree with that. As of the merch tent, because it was around then that Cam Young stopped caring. After CY almost went to LIV, and then he like stared into the abyss of LIV and didn't go. That he hasn't been good since.
You know what's crazy? Actually, that take that we had in the past. Shout out my guy at Pull Hook Golf. He said to me in Phoenix, Cam Young grew up on the golf course. Cam Young grew up a private country club kid. He's tired of it. He doesn't care about the game. That's our take. And I said, dude, this is what we've been saying on the pod for so long. And I think that holds true because Cam Young just doesn't care as much, and Tommy Deets cares so much. He's a European. He wants to win. He comes from winners. Shout out Aiden Hazard. Like he wants to be one of those elite Kevin De Bruyne Belgians, and he's getting into the mix. He's getting into the mix. This is a generational pod.
This pod will go down in the annals of the Vincerix history, in between the stops at Boots Phoenix and the stops in Boots Torrey. A couple more guys, because this is going to be a long pod, very likely. Hopefully it's recording. There's no guarantee that anything we're recording. And if this is lost, if these moments are lost to the ether and only Vincent knows about them, it's still okay, but it would be really disappointing if this wasn't actually working, because there's a few more guys I want to talk about before we get to Torrey. And we can talk about them kind of in conjunction with Torrey as well. One of them has to be Scottie Scheffler. There's Scottie.
Bud Cauley beat him.
Scheffler. Wow.
Bud Cauley beat him this week.
Scottie. We said this last week. What did we say about Scottie last week, Jers? That he expects to win the tournament.
Every time.
Scottie struggle is enjoyable just because it's like seeing a mad scientist in that rare moment where it's not going exactly how they draw it up. Because he showed up today, he was like, I'm going to win.
Yeah.
And he started like he was going to win. And then once it started, like he missed that putt on 9, old school Scottie. We haven't seen something like that from Scottie in the mix since this time last year. And then he ejected on the back 9 in a way we really haven't seen from Scottie in quite some time. He completely threw in the towel. He was exasperated by what was taking place. And for Tommy Detry to be winning his tournament, the Waste Management Phoenix Open, Scottie had to be upset about that.
Yeah, I took a little bit of a nap as the tournament finished, and you said Scottie just packed it in on 18, just like didn't care because he's baffled that he's not winning this tournament and losing to golfers like Thomas Detry and Michael Kim. If you told Scottie on Thursday Michael Kim was going to smoke you this week, he would have looked at you in the eye and said, "Fuck you," and that's what happened. And the around the green play is really faulting him. He doesn't have the touch. Him and Tom Kim are out in Dallas chipping like shit because neither of them can chip anymore. And it's paying dividends to Scottie's game in the wrong way. It's anti-dividending him. So Scottie Scheffler's got to find the around the green game soon. It's really soon.
But you are confident that he's going to win, Torrey. You've been saying consistently over the last 2 days that you think he's going to win. I'm
in on Scottie at Torrey.
Okay, you're in on Scottie at Torrey.
He
won the US Open.
People
as like an amateur.
People forget.
We're against Russ Henley, and I had Louis Oosthuizen, and I was on a flight back from Costa Rica, and Louis had a 2-shot lead, and then I thought I was going to have United. It was United, and I thought I was going to have coverage the whole time, and I didn't for the first hour of the flight. And when it came back on, there was no Wi-Fi either. When it came back on, the first thing that popped up on my screen was on Golf Channel. You know, on the bottom of the screen, on like live from, they've got the ticker with like a picture of the guy, John Rahm, U.S. Open champion, Torrey opponent. So Scottie won that, and we'll see if he can continue on this week. We'll talk some more Scottie in a second when we talk about the field. The other guy we need to talk about, because for a second there, it was the most random year of the week, the most DP tournament of all time. Rasmus introduced himself to the American golf community. For anyone who didn't know who Rasmus was, now you know. This is what he does. Rasmus can go finish top 20 against any golfers in the world at any moment on any course. He is that good at golf. Nukes off the tee. One of the longest in the entire field. Hits it like Rory off the tee. Spike upside with his irons, where he just flushes sometimes, especially with his mid-long irons. And the guy, every now and then,
I'd put him up there. I'd put him up there with one of the best putters in the world, truthfully. And I've been saying that all the last 2 years. He's a generational putter. And I mean, if you're a Tap and Birdie fan, Tap and Birdie listener, Adam gave him a great shout on Tuesday evening, and it came to fruition. He got a strong Boots report from me, and Adam backed it up. I just didn't think he had the dog, and that kind of happened on holes 7, 8, 9.
He lost the tempo of his swing.
Yeah.
He's young. He really stood out as losing the tempo of his swing, but that's okay. We've now seen it from. It's crazy how good Nikolai and Rasmus are, and it's also crazy that they're never allowed to be good at the same time.
Yeah, but that's been a take for a while.
Nikolai was on the last Ryder Cup team. Rasmus will probably be on the next one. Also, I saw people talking about, like, is Thomas Detry going to make the Ryder Cup team? I would strongly expect, like, I mean, if Tommy Deets is on the Ryder Cup team, he's obviously on the Viking Cup team, without question. Belgium is a seafaring nation. Tommy Deets gets a spot on the Viking Cup. But what's the current State of the Union on the Hodges?
I mean, we've been talking about it for a while.
Popped a little bit in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, he had like the 26th best putting round of in the history of golf. Shout out Model Maniac. He posted it on Monday or Thursday. But we've been saying for a while that the Hodges cannot be good at the same time. One's great, one's extremely average. I think it will sway back to Nikolai at some point during the middle of the season. It always does. So
every time you think it's permanently shifted, it doesn't.
And Nikolai has the ability to just be a gen striper and just ball strike it to death, while Rasmus has the more well-rounded, but still has the upside to ball strike it to death. Rasmus has always been a better putter consistently, where Nikolai can just spike for an event. Nikolai's putter is like when I see him line over a putt, I get a similar vibe to Denny. Like I feel like it looks so comfortable, it looks like it's going in. And I mean, you saw him today. He just made him from everywhere.
I could watch Rasmus hit iron shots. If all the entire coverage was just Rasmus striping his irons, because he hit some impressive iron shots this week. The tempo got a little bit off on the swing, but in the last year, Nikolai's won the Masters and Rasmus has won the Waste.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
That is really impressive. And Rasmus beat Rory in Ireland.
Yeah,
and Nico won the DP World Tour Championship. Actually.
Yeah, these aren't like made up things. These are things that happen.
These are
legitimate things that happen. They're the heart. Who's current heart and soul of the Viking Cup?
That's a great question. We haven't talked about the Viking Cup in a while.
The skip aheaders are gonna be so upset with this pod, but that's fine.
That's what we do.
We decided long ago that we'd much rather have a handful of passionate listeners. And if the skip people want to skip ahead to when we talk about Torrey in a second, that's fine. Yeah,
so the Viking Cup, Ludwig, I think, is still one in the standings, but Thomas Detry has made a massive jump. Jesper Svensson has entered the top 10, and Rasmus, I believe he was 3 or 4. I think he might be up to 2 or 3, whichever he was at.
Where's Vic? So it's Lud.
I think it was Ludwig, and I think Rasmus is going ahead, but the standings come out Monday afternoon, so we'll get them either on the site or on the account tomorrow afternoon. So by the time we listen to this, the Viking Cup standings will probably be
out. Let's transfer this to Torrey. There's some Vikings of interest this week.
There's some Vikings of interest.
And that's the nice thing about being together. We had a chance to sweat every tour, LIV,
so many tours.
Vincent on the DP. We tried our best
LPGA
to wake up and watch some DP. It's tough on the West Coast.
We were synced up though. Tell them about how we were synced up for that this morning. DP.
Yeah, we're in the same hotel here in San Francisco, and simultaneously at 5 a.m., Matt and I both woke up and both were checking our phones simultaneously to check what was happening on the DP World Tour. And at that point, it became clear that Vincent was in beyond prime position. That's the great thing for Vincent to get his first win on the DP, and he didn't have to sweat.
No, a little bit of a sweat. It was he had to make a nice birdie on 18.
But he had near Peterson too.
That's right. Oh yeah, you're right.
Like that was the thing. He had so.
It was like
because I thought he had to deal with the sweat, I was going to ask him. I'll ask him tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'm going to ask Vincent for his overall thoughts on hitting a winner at the Qatar Masters.
Yeah,
I'll report back about what he says.
Yeah, and that's the best part about betting the DP is every single one of us has to wake up in the middle of the night to go pee or something. You have the ability to check a sweat like at 5 a.m. and that's worth infinite money. So just if you bet $5 on DP, like I've said before, it's worth the sweat.
100%. 100%. It's like always bet within your means. And on things like golf specifically, such a random sport, don't overdo your means, but spread a little bit on each of the tours because sweating the different tours.
There's nothing like a DP sweat. And like when they get into like the UK and they're playing at 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern time and
coffee golf,
you're waking up. It's awesome. And then you bet it all year. You start to know the guys. You start to maybe hit a winner or two. It's worth every single penny. And I swear, I'm a generational wake up in the night and pee guy. So I bring my phone to the bathroom and I'm checking the DP World Tour leaderboard, whether it's Patrick Reed 1 under through 1 or Jimmy Walker tied T1. It's always just amazing stuff on the DP World Tour.
That's hilarious that we were transitioning to Torrey and we spent another 5 minutes on the DP. But all right, Torrey Ponds.
Winner at Torrey Ponds.
Yeah, there you go. Justin Rose.
Winner at Torrey Ponds.
I like Rose this week. Who are you? So I don't know if you know this, but there was a tournament at Torrey a couple weeks ago.
Was there a strokes gain? On one course there was.
Yeah, on one of the courses for 3 of the days. And we talked about that pod. And I tweeted after it about how important putting has been at Torrey.
Yeah.
That for all of the talk about the driving and the ball striking, and it's big bad Torrey Pines where only the longest hitters in the world can win. Guys like Harris English win the tournament. And they make a ton of putts. A guy like Pabs wins the tournament. Now the field is going to be strong this week, but the field is at Torrey, not this most recent year, but historically have been pretty reasonably strong fields. I know as we've been talking, even though I keep bringing up that putting is what matters, you keep talking about the ball strike at Torrey. So I think this is also a thing of like, yeah, there's stats, but you can have different opinions on what you think the stats are, and having something to get a look at that, like at Waste talking about distance being at bomb and gouge being possible, and that's what Tommy Deets brought to the table with his generational iron play.
At the Sony.
Well. What are you interested in seeing there, and which players are you most interested in getting eyes on because you're confident in their abilities going into the week?
If I see you on the tee looking uncertain, I'm concerned because I just don't see a path where you can be shaky off the tee, have to hit out of knee-deep rough for 72 holes and sustain it. Sure, you can drive it well and not make your birdie putts, but you're giving yourself so many looks. Some are going to go in. I do understand the world where it's going to be difficult. You're going to have those 8-foot par putts, but if you're just giving yourself enough 20 to 40 feet birdie putts over 72 holes from your position off the tee, I think that's going to really be the difference. And I'm going to look for generational confident drivers this week at Torrey Ponds.
I would say what I'm going to be looking for in the Boots report, because that's the thing. At the end of the day, you can read the Boots report from whatever angle you want to read the Boots report from. I will be interested to hear about guys who are competent off the tee. I don't need you to like a guy who you report and say generational striping. Like, yes, that's going to be big for me this week. But if there's a guy who's just competent off the tee, but he looks confident with the flat stick, because at Waste, what did you say about Tommy Deets? He looked confident with the flat stick.
Yeah.
And we've always talked about, too, the flat stick in Boots is the toughest part because a lot of times guys aren't putting to the real.
He was the only person I said looked great with the flat stick. I actually noted Tommy Deets looks
rolling the rock. Because it's like hard to say that somebody looks good with the putter.
Right.
You can sometimes see it on the practice screen, but they don't putt to the real hole most of the times, except Brooks Koepka.
Yeah.
That remains.
Strokes gain dog number 1.
If Boots ended right the second, if the last words out of my mouth right now are the end of Boots, learning that Brooks won all of his majors because he's the only guy who putts into the hole in the practice round.
You told me that before I ever went to a golf tournament. You said, I mean, I know that golfers practice to the little plastic cups that they put in the hole. And you said, like, as a joke, watch when Brooks, like when you get out there, watch Brooks. He only putts into the hole. And I'm like, all right, like I'll note it. And then every single event we went to, the majors, Brooks would stand over the hole, like the golf hole, and just take it over like he was on the Iron Throne and just sitting 5 feet away, pounding putts into the hole because he's like, yeah, like this is the hole that we have to make the putt into, right? Not these plastic little cups. What are you guys doing?
Have you ever? And then he's talked about too. He's like, why? I'll just putt to whichever hole is there on that day. It kind of reminds me of, have you ever been shooting around with like a group of people basketball? Maybe, and it's like not enough basketballs for everybody. So whoever's missing, and if you get change, obviously they're giving it back to you. But there's that one guy who refuses to, like, even when he misses, he's like, give it to me. I'm shooting. That's what Brooks does when he puts into the cup.
Yeah, I mean that's why he's a strokes gain dog number 1.
We're still trying to get to Torrey. and now we're talking. But that's because we need to judge the flat sticks this week. Because, like I said, go look at my tweet from right after Torrey. Let me pull it up. Let me pull it up actually while we're at it, because it is unbelievable the level of putting that has won at this tournament. It's like every time that stat pops up, I think to myself, like, that does, like, is this really going to continue on? But we talk about it all the time. It's those 5 to 10 foot putts. It's those testy, hard stages. No matter how good you strike it, you're going to have some.
Even if you do strike it and you have the 40-foot putt, you might have a 6-footer coming back
every time.
And it's not an easy putt, especially on these surfaces in the afternoon in California. So you got to be able to gut up and hit a putt with confidence down to the hole.
Torrey, here you go. Last 6 years at Torrey, putting per round. 2.0, 2.0, 1.5, 1.2, 1.5, 2.7.
That's not normal putting.
That's serious putting. Off the tee, minus 0.3, plus 0.2, plus 0.3, plus 0.4, plus 0.4, minus 0.1.
Argue with numbers.
And that's what I'm excited to see. Like, maybe you see something different. I don't know. And if you do, I'm going to consider what you have to say. But, like, that's the tricky thing, I think, this week. And what you need to keep your eyes for is the flat stick and who is rolling them, the leg putts. Because Torrey, of maybe all the courses on the tour, the most times when you open the app and your guy's 45 feet away and then he's 8 feet 11 inches away, it has to happen the most any stop on tour.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited to see how. One thing I've noticed from going to so many events is see how guys practice, because they practice to what's important in a given week. For example, we've seen guys in events just totally neglect the rough because they're like, this rough is easy. I don't need to practice in the rough. I'm just going to put my ball in the fairway. We've seen guys throw their balls into the rough because they know this rough is serious. I need to get reps out of this rough. We've seen guys get to the putting greens and not even make any putts. They're chipping only because they know, oh, this around the green is tough. I really need to practice around the green this week. I'm excited to see how they're practicing at Torrey Pines, because it's a golf course that we've seen a ton of times, but we're seeing it for the second time in X amount of weeks. Elevated field. They're going to trick it out.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so.
There's questions. Like, obviously, this is a golf course we see every single year, but there's questions on Twitter. How's the rough looking? What do they do differently? I'm going to find out.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays differently. I hope that they make it not U.S. They're not going to make it U.S. Open level, but I mean, the winning score. What was the winning score a couple weeks ago? What's the weather supposed to be? That's an important question.
I think it looks fairly mint and fairly dry.
I need to
go from what I saw. So the weather will play an important role in how.
How are you going to deal with the weather? Because we've been here golfing. We played golf on Saturday. We played the postage stamp.
Oh yeah,
on Saturday here.
We didn't post that clip.
Not yet, but we will. And you were freezing cold, and I'm looking at the weather, trying to see if we're going to see stuff that was similar to a couple of weeks ago at Torrey, and it looks like it's going to be wet.
Oh, wet.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, rain with about 10 to 13 mph of wind. So testing. The guys hate playing in those conditions.
Yeah, So Sungjae has no chance. Not that he ever did.
If Sungjae was ever going to win a signature event, this would be one of his best chances, because he's a Torrey merchant.
He's a Torrey merchant, but the conditions are not good for Sungjae.
He had it a couple weeks ago.
And what happened when he had it? Bogey on the par 5 from 90 yards in the fairway.
That was tough. But what did he finish this week? Where did Sungjae finish up?
Good question. Where did Sungjae finish this week? Because he definitely was a popular golfer this week and made the cut.
Finished
T57.
What happened? Because he was backdooring on Saturday.
Yeah. What did he do today?
He made double on both 15 and 16.
Tough scene.
He shot 60. He shot 67 yesterday, and then he shot 75 today. Oh, Willie tweeted something. Did you see Willie's tweet?
No.
Can I read it to you?
Yeah.
Because it has a lot to do with exactly what we're talking about. Now that I see what happened.
He lost almost 5 strokes on approach.
He tweeted something about today was all about not getting fired or something like that. Hold on. What's his Twitter?
What
is Willie's Twitter?
Wave Good Wilcox, I believe.
Wave.
Or that's his Instagram. I could pull it up while we're doing this. You got it. Bad podcasting.
Maybe. Oh, I got him. Fine podcasting. Wait. It's gone.
So he tweeted something about not getting fired.
It was a joke. Like, it was a funny tweet about just like the day must have been just a tough day for Sung.
Right.
But I don't see it anymore. It's gone. So
that's our Sung bit on the week. I'm out on him.
But yeah. So Willie, he's excited though. Going to Torrey for a signature event.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
With Sung Jae Merchant. He'll be on the bag there in San Diego. We've got the DraftKings odds. We know these are going to change, and we'll see how they're looking in a couple of days. But we can start with where they're at today. Rory, back to back. Any chance?
I do think there's a world. I've been in on Rory at Torrey since the noise got moved, that the noise came out that it was getting moved here. He doesn't play here regularly, but I think it makes so much sense. And I know you're different than me, but I'm so big on off the tee. And if he's doing anything like he was doing at Pebble Beach, hitting it long and hitting it straight, the ceiling is what, T7? I mean, the floor is T7. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I expect Rory to play well. I can't come up with any reason.
I know I'm in, and we short the top of the board more than a lot of people and shit on them. I'm in on Rory. I'm in on the top of the board. I'm in on Rory.
If you saw generational striping from Rory this week,
I'm not betting him.
No matter what you see from him.
No matter what I see, I'm not betting Rory McIlroy. I've never in my golf betting career have bet someone to win back-to-back events. I stick by my standards.
That's
and
fair.
You know that.
Totally fair. Collin, 14-1. He almost won for you once here when Max won, and then you tailed Max at the last second and almost mushed him.
What did I do?
You bet Max when BK and I were on him at Torrey.
Oh yeah,
minus 165 or something, and then he started to struggle, but he didn't. He won. Collin though was mixing there. He's 14-1, but Scottie's in the field, so he can't win.
If you're seeing wet conditions, no chance, Collin. No chance for Collin.
You need some firmness.
Some firmness for Collin at Torrey.
Ludwig, you've been talking Ludwig. Ludwig, who famously won this tournament a couple weeks ago after the first round. He was 9 under. He was on his way to the Grand Slam. Everything was looking golden for Lud. And then he was withdrawing after the first round in Pebble. It was the highest of highs for Lud maybe we've ever had since Augusta last year, maybe Castle Pete. And now we arrive back down to some of the lowest lows that we've seen from Lud. I think people probably are uncertain what's the situation with Lud.
Yeah, Lud's going to be an important Boots report for sure. And I mean, I said this after the Torrey Pines a few weeks ago. If we get a 2 in front of Ludwig, I'm definitely in. We got that too. I'm interested to see where that number moves Monday morning, but I think I can go back to a Ludwig in a contrarian setting on a golf course that rewards long and straight driving. We saw the lack of dog with the lead. I don't want Ludwig to shoot 9 under in the first round. I want Ludwig to mint 69s and just be in the mix come Sunday because I think he can do it. He's good enough to do it. Excited to see him over the week because we don't know how he's been. Has he been practicing? Has he been sick? What's the deal? I'm gonna find out.
JT. Should we just skip over him?
Yeah, we talked
about him on the CY and Eric Colas.
We talked about him already. Yeah,
we're good there. I like Hideki.
Yeah, you do like Hideki.
I'm hoping for some drift on Hideki. Let's say he gets to 25-1. Let's say he gets maybe to 28-1. Hideki can win every time that he plays. It doesn't matter. He's played good at Torrey before. He's been struggling.
He's bad.
Where did he end up? He was
T25.
We were checking the stats all week because we were hanging out and we
tied with Scottie at T25. And
what was his driving accuracy?
Not great.
Because at one point of the tournament, Hideki, I think it was through the third round, had only
56.
But through the third round, he'd only hit 12. So in the final round, he got it dialed. But it's just, in the same way that you have had a feeling about a couple guys this week when we've been hanging out, you're saying, I'm thinking about these guys for Torrey.
Yeah.
That's been Hideki for me, just because I think it feels like he'll be under the radar this week, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's been under the radar since after he was only not under the radar like Sony, and then he's been under the radar since then. So yeah, I mean, I'm never gonna say no Hideki.
The driver is a concern.
The driver is a concern.
So another important bridge report. I'll be intrigued to see what you see from.
But it's not worth me even saying Hideki.
That's true. Yeah, don't tell me what you see from Deki. Never mind. I don't want to know. We just talked Sanjay. Tom Kim. We had a discussion this week about. Let's talk about how we were talking about the dog and how we may be making an adjustment to measuring the dog.
Yeah. Okay.
Some players might be too young to properly decide if they have dog or not, because we've seen guys who earlier in their career white hot. They don't know anything better, Jers. They just know winning. They could even do a Collin. They could win 2 majors, and now we are questioning the dog now. But we've seen the opposite. We've seen guys who take a while to get Scottie. Scottie didn't have dog for a while.
No,
Scottie didn't.
He mixed and never.
Yeah, KFT. He in college he didn't win much. He talks about this. Yeah. And then obviously Scottie is Scottie now. Tom Kim would fall in the potentially too young to assess the dog, because I talked about it last week. I was so disappointed with his decision making last week after seeing the same thing at Travelers. And then this week, he was 75-1 at Pebble, and he went down to like 33-1 this week, and he was a super popular player. And I was nervous. And you were saying that he was striping in practice. He got off to a great start. I was like, it would suck if Tom won after I was on him last week. Ejected from the tournament. Somebody had to take a good take about Tom, that it was not going to be a good environment for Tom, because there was going to be people getting on him because of his pace of play. That's obviously the mainstream thing that everybody who's just even a casual fan of golf kind of knows about. I think that probably came true in the end.
Yeah, I heard he waved off some fans on 16 who were rattling him for the slow play, and I did hear that take earlier in the week. Shout out Keith, another great take. Said that they were going to get on him, and that the fans in Phoenix are ruthless. And Tom has a thing about him where he either can't take jokes or doesn't know when to stop. And I don't think he handled it the right way, and I think they got under his skin, and that might have been the case here.
And so the guys like Tom Kim, Rasmus, these are the type of guys where I feel like I don't know if they have dog or not, because sometimes they do things where you're like, that's so sick, and then sometimes they do things that's dumb, but too much volatility, too hard to say. But how do you feel? But my thing with these guys, when I feel like that about them, is for Tom, for example, I will bet him when he's 50, 60, 70-1.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to bet him when he's 25, 30, 35-1. And yeah, I didn't bet Tommy Deets last week, but I think in general this year, and we talk about it with Boots a lot, one of the biggest takeaways.
Yeah, this is a big take.
Is that, and this has been true since the very first Boots ever to today, and it'll be true probably forever, because when you go to the practice rounds and you see these guys up close, you just recognize how similar the guy who's 20-1 is to the guy who's 150-1. And that outside of like the true alphas of the Scotties, the Rory level, the Hideki level players, everyone else is the same. And some guys are a lot more consistent than the other guys, but they all have the ability to do it. And it makes you just realize that you'd rather have more guys down the board than some of these guys who usually are mid-range, and then they start to their odds fall. A Tom-like guy. So for this week, him at 30-1, I would need that to drift significantly.
Top 5 on the odds board this week: 80-1. Michael Kim had to have been 200+. Daniel Berger 80 or 90. Seabez 200. Jordan Spieth 100.
Bob Mack 60.
Bob Mack 60. The highest was JT, who backdoored it. Will Chandler Infinity. Adam Hadwin.
Shout out Will Chandler. Shout out Monday Q. I don't know the Monday Q guy, but cool. His love of the Monday Q, I love it.
It's just so sick. Yeah, so sick. So sick.
So it's great to see Chandler.
Smoked Scottie today. Beat Scottie by 6, I believe, plus 700.
That might have been why Scottie was extra mad. His brain had to be in a pretzel.
Yeah, absolute pretzel.
Absolute pretzel. Cantlay, 3 in front of his name. Poa, West Coast.
He hasn't done it here. He hasn't been.
He played good here. When did he play good here? One time. I think there was one time he played good here.
I don't believe Cantlay's done it here consistently, at least, and not.
Oh, it was that year. He ended up playing terrible. He was first round leader, and then he got rattled on the range before the second round. You were on him, I think. He stripes the north course and then absolutely ejected on the south.
Yeah, I think I'm out on PC. I've been on the take that PC doesn't really is not gonna win for like maybe ever. Like I think I'm out on PC.
I might be in, but probably not.
He's got better things to care about.
Tommy talked about Spieth and Lowry be the perfect. Spieth, Lowry, and Rasmus are 40-1 in these odds I'm seeing. They'd be the perfect example of guys not to chase.
I was gonna say, can you name? You'd have to search the last time chasing a number has worked.
Jake Knapp,
Mexico Open, off the dome. What a call! That is the last time chasing a number has worked.
Here's a couple Torrey merchants around 45-1. Jason Day, Malvin man. You got me a new Malvin hat.
Shout out Malvin.
We played golf with the guy who was wearing Malvin.
Two guys that were on Malvin.
Yeah, Malvin's. You were so early on Malvin. It's a shame that you didn't acquire any equity stake in Malvin because if you were so ahead of the game on Malvin, you're a believer from the start.
Yeah, I have infinite Malvin, so shout out Malvin.
So there's Jason Day, and then Will Zalatoris, a man who was guaranteed, universally guaranteed to win this tournament. Just a couple of weeks ago, he said, I would so much rather get paid a lot of money to play this course than have to really try to make money at this course. And now he's here. You spoke to somebody who has played golf with Willie Z, within the last few weeks?
Yeah, the last few weeks.
And what did they say?
David Geis, caddy of Bud Cauley.
Who beat Scottie this week?
Who beat Scottie this week, by the way. Spoke to me highly of Will Zalatoris, said that he has been striping to a different degree, and I thought the same thing at Kapalua. I thought Will Zalatoris has been hitting his golf ball better than he's been hitting it since his injury, and to hear that come from a professional caddy confirmed my eyes and confirmed what I mean. The ball striking numbers aren't there yet, but they're trending in the right direction. Do I think he's going to win this week? Do I think I want to bet him at 40-1? Not so sure. But I think we're seeing good things from Willie Z now, and soon. Good things are going to happen sooner than later. And then who was the other guy you mentioned? J-Day. He was giga popular last time we played Torrey. I don't think it's going to be the same this week. Double the number, but still, this isn't the Byron Nelson. Out. Probably out on both.
Sepp, 45.
Generational striper. Is he going to win again? No. But like, what's holding you back from playing Sepp in any market?
I was just laughing, thinking we should do a video where we do a generational counter. How many times things were generational during the pod?
How many times have we said generational this weekend?
Hundreds of times. Bobby Mack again. Bobby Mack at 60-1 against the Wastefield. I liked that bet. Bobby Mack, and it was a National Open, People's Open, and when he striped on 12 and almost made a hole in one, we had life.
We were at breakfast.
He gave us hope, legitimate hope, I would say. He was never close to the lead, but with Tommy Deets being out front, there was always hope, and he was right there in second place. But he's 45-1 this week.
45. That's going to drift.
Who of these guys do you like the best in the about 50 to 55-1 range? Bobby Mack, Sam Burns, Keegan.
I knew you were going to say Keegan.
Victor Hovland, Viking Cup. Russ Henley, world's greatest putter. And Matt McNeely. Who of those guys do you like the most?
How did Burns, I think, finished T49. What did he do with the driver? He's been wishy-washy all over. I can't trust Burns in any regard.
Yeah.
I mean, why is Victor Hovland 55-60-1 when and Tommy Fleetwood's 30-1?
Hovland's stats at Pebble.
Hovland had his best ball striking week of 2025 in his last start, and he's played really well at Torrey. A guy who stripes it, a guy who's good and fluffy around the green conditions. Why not? Victor Hovland, great number. He's going to be popular, though.
When he was T2 here at the Farmers, he was flat around the green. So, yeah, I don't mind it. It'll be good to get a lot of these guys will be good to get a Boots report on because I need to know Vic. Because last year, Vic roller coaster was the fundamental story of Boots.
Yeah.
The thread that tied the whole year together was Vic. But Sam Burns, I'm glad because Sam Burns is my guy. Has been for a long time.
He's becoming more unserious by the week.
And I have been giving him so many chances at like 30, 40-1. This week when he was like 25-1 and everybody was on him, it was a bridge too far for me. And it always sounds good, and it used to work. He used to win. He's been so it's Amex. Well, actually, when he
Nick on that broke him.
That broke him. But I think what broke him extra was when he backdoored into the second to final group at Troon when we were on him.
Oh,
and then he did not play well in the final round.
No, I was hyped for him that Sunday.
That Saturday at Troon, we've talked about on this trip and on this pod, but that Saturday round, this came up this week. This is why it came up, because there was somebody every week now. I feel like there's somebody who bets no hole in one, and then when there is a hole in one, everybody trolls them. And I saw that it waste, and we were talking about no hole in one at Troon being the worst beat of all time, because Siwoo made an ace on a hole and on a day where the leaders were hitting drivers off of the tee. It was basically an ace on a par 4.
Yeah.
And that's how we lost no hole in one at Troon.
Only Siwoo was capable of doing that.
Siwoo
or Mark Hubbard.
I've been betting Siwoo every week. I've bet him every week this season. And he continues to be so unserious in the opening round. And then he played the greatest second round in golf history.
I think he shot 4 over this week.
He works his way up. He was 12th at Pebble. I think he ended up like T18 this week.
Really?
Siwoo. What is Siwoo's odds this week?
This week?
80-1. The thing is, I just keep nuking Siwoo in this range. It's not working, but at 80-1. It just becomes I'd rather bet guys down here than guys at the top. So each week,
I mean, that's true.
I can toss Siwoo on there, and if it works, if it doesn't.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Siwoo and Tom Kim and Collin Morikawa. Soft conditions hurt them heavy this week. Rory's gonna win by a lot.
Let's stay the union on Theegs, because Carl and Theegs have legitimately become
friends of the program.
I'd heard about Theegs from people on Twitter for a long time. We're like, Theegs is the nicest guy in the world, and we never come across him, and it seemed like that was true based on everything that you could ever see with your eyes. It's more than true.
Yeah,
him and Carl, it makes me, even when I want to bet Theegs, and at the last second I said I'm not going to bet him. Usually, if that was another guy, I would hope they play bad in the tournament because I don't want to feel like I missed out. When it's Theegs, I still root for him to play well, and we're on a little bit of a struggle bus right now. We're on a little bit of a struggle bus at a couple of courses where we would have expected Theegs to play well.
I need to see the number drift a little bit. What are we at? 60 right now?
70 is my Theegs number.
70 is your Theegs number. We're at 60 right now, right?
I think we'll get the 70, probably.
I agree. I think we're going to get 80 plus. And yeah, we're on California. He started off really good on the North Course here a few weeks ago. Then he ejected immediately, and then he battled his way back. I think he's confident heading here, which is huge for Theegs. And just Theegs in California. I wouldn't overthink it. It's the number as always.
He's playing bad.
He's playing bad. What did he do this week?
Nothing. T57.
Stat wise,
approach was fine, but he's showing no consistency in any part of the game. Sam Stevens
didn't play well.
Battled to make the bet,
and he won here a few weeks ago.
He won here a few weeks ago, and it wasn't the caddy's fault. He mishit it. We have that's
confirmed.
Minwoo or Corey Connors, because you're a Minwoo. You're a Minwoo guy. You went to him off the links, which meant that he had no chance of winning.
He mixed.
It was when Minwoo retires from the game, and he's down there in Australia, and they're talking about the type of player that Minwoo Lee was and what he stood for as a professional golfer.
Minwoo did numbies this week.
Yeah, because his performance was as vintage as it could ever be.
Yeah.
What did you see from Minwoo this week? And do you think Torrey, what does he bring to the table?
He brings generational driver to the table. Gained 4.4 off the tee on a very driver-heavy golf course. Ranked 6th in the field. Gained 6.7 strokes around the green. Lost on approach. Lost putting. I don't care how many strokes he loses on approach. I don't. I need to see the putter. I need to see the putter boost. I bet Minwoo at Pebble too, and he didn't play poorly. I think I bet him the last 2 weeks.
How was Arms this week? They were unserious. That's right. That was
They were minus 1.1, which is that's good for Minwoo. That's good, but they've been good though. They've been good. How do they putt at Pebble? Minwoo.
That's a good question. He's been unserious with flat stick. Not good at Pebble. The only time he's putted well was in Dubai, and then before that was the Olympics.
I'm not getting Poa in Dubai.
No, I will say, it's not.
Are you making a corollary to Poa in Dubai?
I'm making everything's always 2020 in hindsight.
Okay.
The Europeans, a guy like Tommy Deets, they slap at desert golf because they play the desert on the DP a lot, and a lot of them live in like Dubai in the Middle East because like you can't. They're Vikings. They can't live in the Viking countries during the European Tour. So, in retrospect, it wasn't. It makes sense that the Euros.
With that being said, what would you have bet Haotong in this field?
Desert specialist. Vincent would have been on it.
Vincent, oh yeah.
Vincent would have been on
at 20.
But Minwoo's putting, I don't really understand it because there was a time when Minwoo was better than Cam Smith at putting.
Yeah.
He was outrageous at putting, and he hasn't been that good at putting lately. But if he ever figures it out.
I'm on the record for saying Minwoo has the best putting stroke I've ever seen. I've said that before. I think I've told you that before.
I believe it. I would say it's. I mean, this is the easy answer, but it's true. Cam Smith.
Yeah.
No. Watching Cam Smith, we've talked about so many things this week.
Dude.
Cam Smith, watching him putt.
That's a top 5. That was a top 5. Like watching X guy do X at Boots.
Yeah, like watching Rory drive is as great as you could imagine it being.
Watching John Rahm chip at Troon.
If you imagine watching Scottie strike, I've said this a million times. It's more impressive than even you think it's going to be. And every time. It's going to be impressive when you see it.
And watching Cam Smith putt is in that list.
And it stands out extra because usually putting never is the thing that like pops at Boots. It's like you see some guy generationally striping off the tee, and you're like,
"Wow,
that is
but
nice."
Watching Cam Smith putt is
crispy.
Watching the amateurs chip at Pine, a joke. Remember how bad they were at chipping?
Yeah,
reject city.
Neil, one of our worst Boots calls was Neil Ship.
Yeah,
played great. That and Matty Schmidt at the players. Who? Speaking of putting, because we need actually before we get to putting, I have to make a statement.
Okay.
I regret. Actually, I don't regret it. I don't regret being a part of Billy Ho week.
You bet Billy Ho this week?
Yeah, I bet him. I bet him on the Sunday pod 9-1. I was
on Billy Ho.
He never had a chance.
I mean, he's most tipped.
Never had a chance, but he's back to 120-1. Who? I had to give my apology because Billy Ho's my guy. And deep down in my heart, I didn't feel good about him, but I felt it was FOMO. I had a ton of FOMO, and I try to avoid FOMO in betting. It never does me well to have FOMO, and I had it on Billy O. But he's 121 this week, and I'll give him another chance, potentially. I'm not going to commit to it, but I'm going to give it a look. Who, and I bring him up in this sphere because we've been talking about putting. I know you're saying you're still interested in the driving. Who, if you had to pick a putting guy down the B, a Harris English style of player jersey, a guy who's down the board, but maybe has good course history, maybe can roll it on the POA. Who do you have your eyes on those type of guys?
A putting guy down the B.
I can give you some if you want.
Yeah.
Jenny. Bez. Justin Rose, Nick Dunlap, Brian Harmon, 181. Mac Hughes, Chris Kirk, it's Bermuda. Seamus, Nico Etch, Lee Hodges. Some of these guys aren't putters. I'm just listening.
Yeah. Because
who do you trust kind of down the view? Some random guy who could just heat up with the flat stick.
I mean, I don't know if I'm serious. I don't know if I'm in on any of those putters, but I think I could be talked into more like my own eyes into Aaron Rye.
Horse. We invented horse Aaron Rye at Torrey.
Did we?
100%.
Yeah, I mean Aaron Rye for sure. Soft conditions definitely hurt him. If Shay is striping the driver, he's not quite all the way down there, but he's close to 100. Shay's a name that I need to keep an eye on.
I
And
like Akshay.
and Shay was betrayed by my eyes this week, and he ended up not playing well. So
That was scary in the first round. I'll admit.
yeah, no, for sure. But we played 4 rounds for a reason. I had to Wyndham.
100%.
If Wyndham drives it well in practice rounds, I'm in.
What was your overall? Because Wyndham was a guy.
Unserious driving performance.
This not in Boots, but in the tournament.
And he started off great, and then after that, it was bad.
You'd go back to 80 to 1
if he's driving it well, yeah.
Because I cashed out Akshay on Wednesday. You said he wasn't trapping off the tee, and I was worried about him off the tee, and I said I'm not going to do it. He was T13 here in 2024. He putted great. I need some drift on Akshay though. I need him.
He's 90.
I need him in the triple digits.
All right, I'm with you.
Davis Thompson made the cut finally. Something's wrong with David T.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's not that many guys like this field really bottoms out. I mean, Lee Hodges, I saw him in Boots and I was like, this guy has picked up speed. And then he went in an interview and talked about him picking up speed in the offseason. I was like, this guy is nuking off the tee, and he confirmed it with his own words. So Lee Hodges has shown great signs in 2025 and late 2024. I think the sky's the limit for him. I love him on bigger golf courses.
You like him at Torrey?
I do like him at Torrey.
I like him at
Torrey.
What were his stats? He was T9 here a couple weeks ago.
Well, yeah, I like him at Torrey. Like he'll be 4-1 for a T20, 5-1 for a T20.
Yeah, I mean he's 200 to 1 right now.
Really? Remember when he won Genesis?
Yeah.
This is the Genesis.
What was this? They don't matter because he was kind of just flat at everything. He didn't.
What did he finish at Riviera that one year?
He won.
Well, outside of him winning,
was that your Rom one?
Yeah,
he won that. He
Devo bet him at like 1,001
from Devo. What year was that? 2022, I think. Well, I don't know because I think he dropped off a lot because he gets up there and he doesn't stick around on the leaderboards often. But he was T39 at the Genesis in 2022, and in 2023 he was T18. I think it was that year. I think it was 2023. He was T18. But I think I'm excited to hear we have to say about Hodges again. Because whether he's first round leader, whether I'm getting you set top 20, like I like what I'm seeing from Hodges.
Yeah, no, he's been playing good. I'm in for Hodges.
Are you excited to see Tiger? That's where we started this.
Yeah.
Are you more excited to see Tiger or Lee Hodges?
I'm excited to see Tiger in the setting where not many people are out there, and I can get a quick pick of him. I'm not going to overstep my boundaries, but I'm excited to see him with my eyes.
You need to follow Tiger for at least. Oh, we saw Tiger at Troon.
Oh yeah, playing with Max. Fisher Price
with a mini driver.
Striping.
What are Max's chances this week?
Really low. A Torrey merchant who's actually not a Torrey merchant.
You're on that island. You stand by that.
I'm
not actually good
not good at Torrey. Yeah, Max is. I think he shot 5 over. Remember we played with Scottie and Tom?
That's right.
And Scottie said,
yeah.
Scottie was like, yeah, Max just doesn't have his game right now, but he's a great guy. That's basically what Scottie said.
How do you think Max honestly took that? Like, did it hurt him a little bit, or is he like uplifted by Scottie's statement?
He's hurt, and he might not have even seen it. But if you're this deep into the pod, wait till Thursday when we post our Max Homa meme. It's gonna enjoy it. Max Homa on the Corn Ferry Tour is gonna have a hilarious new clothing line.
I don't know if that has been for his stats. It sucks. He's hitting his driver good, but he has lost his irons.
It's happening. You practice too much.
He's my issue. That's what I was telling you on Saturday.
Yeah.
I can never get my driver swing and my iron swing good at the same time. Max now, as he's tried to overcome the yips off of the tee, has cost himself the ability to hit his irons. We'll be monitoring the situation, but it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, this is not off topic, but flowing into the next thing. Adam is a generational short game player. We played the San Francisco in Links, very difficult golf course in terms of conditions. Monarch Bay. If you're a San Francisco, California native, play Monarch Bay if you want a test of wind.
I don't know, broke up, but we were talking about me. It's going to be hilarious if we were just cut to this after we were talking about this.
That'd be great.
That my golfing comp is T10 to T20 merchant, Jacob Bridgeman.
A ton of like T10 to T40 finishes. He doesn't have those top 10s, which is a crazy comp, but like ball knowers know. Jacob Bridgeman has the ability to pop with the ball striking rarely, but when he's popping, he can have.
And that is my comp. And that was decided in the winds at Monarch Bay golf course. Are you still frozen?
I was zooming, but I think I'm back now.
My comp was Jacob Bridgeman. I don't know if that's going to get into the pot or not, but that's who I am as a golfer.
Who's my comp was?
Xander.
No, Mac Mice.
Yeah, Mac Mice. Because you're good at everything, but not great at any one individual skill. Hadwin, Desert Merchant. Were you disappointed that not be higher on Hadwin this week?
No, I've been high on Hadwin all year long, so I've no beef for not being on him.
Last guy, Nick Dunn. State of the Union.
Did he end up making the cut?
He tends to make the cut. He grinds the cut.
He makes the cut via his dog and not via his skill. What did he finish this week?
T57, but he literally
only made the cut because of his dog.
Solely. His game is off right now, and we
know why. The real ones know why.
It's honestly, I'm surprised how often it comes up. Just it seems like in conversation, because people know the potential of Nick Dunn.
Yeah,
like when you talk to the caddies about Nick Dunn, because I know you've talked to him, or you've talked to his caddy. Like, do they go like this guy, 19-time major champion?
I haven't really gotten there about like Nick Dunn's game, but everyone knows how good he is, and everyone knows how good he is. But yeah, he's got something going on right now that we've talked about in the past before, but we're not going to get into. And once it stops, he'll be back to the.
And you'll report back when Nick.
Oh yeah, I will.
Okay, that's Torrey. You're gonna have the boots there. We're gonna have the models on the site. My favorite thing, we should never talk about the haters, because people have said before, don't worry about the haters. Just focus on people up. And so what I was going to say was, if you think that we don't know that the stats and the numbers matter as much as the dog and the gumption in the boost report, we're literally training an AI who we only give data to make picks. Like, I get the importance of the data. I don't know how else I can say it.
If we wanted to talk about numbers all pod for an hour and a half long, we would, and we easily could. We
do it by ourselves all the time.
Yeah, but serious, but not that serious. We're just here to talk some G. It's not that deep.
And what I was saying was, up on the site are going to be the models, are going to be the LIV picks, because there's LIV. We don't forget about LIV.
Want to know?
Last year, I hit the first LIV event, and then I hit the second one, and you hit the second one as well. This year, I'm hoping you hit the first one, you hit the second one, and then I hit the second one as well. Like, we could get off to another hot start.
Yeah,
because LIV has been
profit boost.
Yeah, LIV's been great.
People are calling it a free money glitch.
Gio won the DFS.
Gio did. Shout out Gio, DFS winner. Just tailed our cards.
You watched a good amount of LIV Riyadh.
Yep.
Would you watch golf under the lights again? A tournament under the lights?
Yeah, because when they hit those, the ball looks so sick. The ball flights look sick under the lights. It's like something you see at Top Golf. I mean, not every week, but it was cool to see. And like, LIV being the quirky tour that it is, has to lean into that thing. And I'm happy they did what they did. And it was an unserious golf course, and I'm happy they made that adjustment, because it would have been more unserious. I know it would have been less unserious, but just going to the extreme unserious side under the lights just made it kind of funny. And they had their thing, and it was a fun event to watch, especially with the sweat, for sure.
LIV Adelaide,
the People's Open
of Australia. Honestly, a bigger event than the Australian Open.
Yeah, by far.
The Australian Open, they play on dope courses, and as we love nice golf courses too.
Yeah,
the Australian Open courses are sick. Kingston Heath, those types of courses, Royal Melbourne. But purely from the vibe and the energy and the passion of Australia behind it, let's LIV Adelaide.
LIV Addy.
I like to watch. Are you excited for it?
Yeah, I am excited for it. I wonder how the time zones are going to match up with PST, because they're never great with me either. But I'm always excited for LIV Addy. I mean, we're going to say it again. A generational ball striking performance from defending champion Brennan Steele last year. Truly one of the better ball striking weeks of all time at LIV Adelaide last year.
I was going to genuinely ask you.
Everything to 2 feet.
It sticks out to me, dead serious, as one of the top 5 ball striking performances I have ever seen in any tournament.
Like you go to the street and you ask, like, name one generational ball striking performance. A girl in the San Francisco streets will say Brendan Steele at LIV Adelaide.
Yeah, we're in the marina.
We are. Oh yeah, this did happen.
It's been happening in the marina the last few days.
Yep.
Without a doubt. As much happening, honestly, as I've seen in quite some time. People compare SF and New York all the time. I don't have a strong statement yet on which side of the New York versus San Francisco divide I fall on, but people turn up in SF.
Oh, for sure.
Would you agree with something? I mean, you come from the Jersey Shores and South Beach, like your Jupe life, like the vibes. What did you think of the marina vibes overall?
Dive bar per capita high,
very high,
and I can always get down for dive bar, and there's just like every street you go on, there's a ton. So I'm in on the SF nightlife.
But we asked people at the bar. This is why I was saying this. Yeah. Who's the best positional Bermuda player? And it was everybody knew it was Chris Kirk, but some people also said sometimes Ben Griffin.
Yeah,
and that was coming up a lot.
We were asking that question, and then we were asking the top 5 ball striking performance of all time, and they said Brendan Steele at LIV Adelaide, so that'll lead us into LIV Adelaide for this year.
You've been considering in our conversation so far this week, and you made your bets last Sunday. That was the thing about Moran, because you got that in early.
Yeah, I got all my bets in on Sunday.
It was something that just you didn't overthink it. Bam. And that's usually why we bet LIV pretty good, because we don't overthink it.
No.
Bam. We're talking about a guy at the top of the board. U.S. Open champion, Pine champion. LIV Adelaide is like if Pine was a tiny golf course that didn't have all the rejections.
Yep.
So you like Bryson?
That's a great way to describe it. Yeah, I do like Bryson at LIV Adelaide. I just think the fact that the fairways are firm, he's going to, like, obviously everyone's going to have some wedges into these holes, but Bryson's going to like maybe drive some greens and have them super close combined with soft greens. Bryson's a great putter. He can get super gigalow, and it's the top of the B fucks so hard on LIV, and we've been in that talked about that for so long. Bryson played well this week. I know Rahm kind of got the better finish, and Hatton's is white hot.
Hatton is.
I like Bryson. Give me like an 8 or 9.
And then you'd sling somebody down the board at like 100 with him?
Yeah, maybe. But I'm not 100% sold, but I think my early lean right now is Bryson.
If the number is fair on Sergio, I'd go back to Sergio. I was on him this week, and talk about a guy who could match Brendan Steele's ball striking performance, because Sergio had maybe not the top 5, but at least when people, maybe you're with a group of ball knowers and they're talking maybe the top 10, top 20 ball striking performances. Yep. Was it at Pine that Sergio absolutely striped tee to green? Was that? Yeah. I think it was at Pine. So he's anyone who played. I agree with you on. I don't know if I'm down for Bryson, but I agree with or like I lean towards if a guy played good at Pine, one of the LIV guys. Then I like him.
Yeah, I mean, we know Cam Smith's going to be popular. He's going to be like probably 10-1. Leash has played well here, but I think my top of the B guy is going to be Bryson this week.
There you have it. That's going to be LIV Adelaide. We're going to have the Boots report this week. We're going to have the models up. We're going to have the DFS up. We're going to have LIV Adelaide up. We'll have LPGA up.
Yep.
We're closing in. Where are they playing? Does Asia start this week?
Not sure. Wrist would know.
Wrist told me to be excited for when they start the Asian swing, because not
Guaranteed.
all of the top players play in those tournaments. So that's what we're supposed to be on the lookout for when it comes to the LPGA. And we're getting into the LPGA this year. You were tracking it while we were golfing.
Yeah, we had Hannah Green. She showed some dog, but she couldn't quite get over the line. The top of the leaderboard at LPGA held strong this week. They were there all 4 days. I'm excited to get into the LPGA sweat. Like, I don't know much about it yet, but I'm learning more girls by the week, and I'm happy to give them a platform if we can.
I honestly, where they need some work is their website and their data.
It's tough.
If they want us to hype them up as much as we can, which I would love to, then that'd be nice, because I'm trying to see what the event is this week. Maybe I could just check the article that Wrist wrote. That's where you would know, because he already wrote the article. I just haven't looked at it yet, but that'll be up on the site. But if it is the start of the Asian swing, I'm excited, because these are supposed to be good events, very good betting events coming up on the LPGA jerseys. It's been wonderful spending time with you here in San Francisco, talking to Vince Erickson. What have we talked about?
Island.
Yeah. Okay. Great. And we need to be excited because that's another thing you can check overnight when you're in the bathroom.
Yes. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. And what I was going to say was, we've been talking about everything this week. What we've talked about the most is how much we appreciate the listeners and the subs for continuing to support Vince Erickson. So we can just keep doing more stuff. And some things work, some things don't. Some things are good, some things are bad. Sometimes we're right, sometimes we're wrong. But we try to keep the vibes good. Try to have a good time, serious but not that serious, and we appreciate everybody who supports us so that we can do stuff like this.
Yeah, let's keep being great. Appreciate all of you guys, and thanks for motivating us because it's not easy to do all these Boots weeks, all this running around, but we do it because we love it, and we do it because we want to be proud winners and keep giving you guys data and information to win yourself. So, thank you again.